Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday counting crows under Pike Place Market's neon glare. Yet here she stood, clutching a battered field notebook, roped into Seattle's quirkiest citizen science gig by a flyer promising free coffee and fewer existential dread spirals. Urban Birdwatch collective vibes were eclectic. Retired teachers in Gore-Tex, tech bros hiding binoculars under Patagonia vests, all scribbling sightings with focus of wartime codebreakers. Her pencil hovered over blank paper. That morning, headlines had screamed Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday kneeling in damp grass beneath a flickering street lamp, binoculars slipping down her nose, but here she was, tracking a defiant sparrow who'd built a nest in a traffic cone. Seattle's drizzle clung to her windbreaker like static. She fumbled with her field notebook, its leather cover cracked from years abandoned in a drawer, same one she'd used to sketch wildflowers as a girl before Journey got loud. Now its pages filled with hurried tallies, crow sightings near Pike Place, junco feathers by bus stop. Eco-grief had gnawed her for months, a silent fog thicker than Puget Sound's marine layer. Headlines screamed extinction, her grandkids' futures felt like sand through clenched fists. But this was different. Urban birdwatching collectives meetups weren't saving planet, not really, yet scribbling notes alongside retirees and baristas gave her purpose sharper than her creaky knees. She'd laughed when Gloria from Market called it climate action for anxious and arthritic, but damn if it didn't ring true. Tonight's hesitation came when a fledgling hopped too close, wings fluttering like a half-folded origami crane. Martha froze. What if she messed up count? What if her shaky hand scared it off? Her fear wasn't just failure, it was being irrelevant, another ghost in machine. But then Bird tilted its head, unbothered, and pecked a fry abandoned near curb. She snorted. Maybe resilience looked less like soaring eagles and more like dumpster-diving sparrows. By month's end, her notebook brimmed with ink-smudged triumphs. Collective's data helped track migration shifts, sure, but Martha craved smaller joys. How mist-turned crow feathers. Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday squinting through drizzle a disgruntled crow, but Journey had a way of tossing surprises like Pike Place fishmongers. Retirement left her adrift, headlines about melting glaciers gnawing her sleep. Then she'd spotted a flyer for Urban Avian Alliance, Bird Nerds Welcome, taped to a lamppost outside her favorite bakery. Her first meetup was chaos. Binoculars dangled like awkward necklaces, field notebooks flipped open to scribbled guesses, sparrow, finch, tiny brown guy. Woman fumbled with her thrift store guidebook, convinced she'd stick out like a flamingo in a pigeon flock. But crew, a mix of college kids in Patagonia vests and silver-haired ladies with tattoos of extinct birds, just handed her a thermos of spiced cider. We all start somewhere, said a woman named Rosa, her notebook bristling with tabs and pressed leaves. Seattle's concrete jungle became a treasure map. She learned to spot juncos darting between dumpsters, memorized red-winged blackbirds' conclave from a muddy shoreline. She logged each sighting with shaky cursive, notebook growing fat with observations. Some pages bore coffee rings, others, smudges from days she tripped over a root chasing a pileated woodpecker. Elegant as a drunk flamingo, Rosa teased. Data turned into purpose. Her entries helped track shifting migration patterns, proof that life adapted even here, amid skyscrapers. Nights once heavy with eco-grief now buzzed with plans. Would barred owls return to Discovery Park? Could they petition city to plant more native berries? By summer, creator led beginners' walks, pointing out nests woven from shopping bag threads. She'd tap her notebook, its edges frayed from rain. They're making it work. So can we. Crow, very first one, still visited her fire escape. She nicknamed it Gloom, though it cawed more like a rusty hinge than a prophet of doom. Some days, it left her bottle caps. Martha logged those too. Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday counting crows in a soggy Seattle park, but here she was, scribbling in her field notebook like some overgrown Girl Scout. Retirement had left her untethered, doom-scrolling climate headlines until her hands shook. Then she'd stumbled upon Flyway Collective's flyer Pike Place Market, urban birdwatching for nervous times, and something in their misspelled, coffee-stained enthusiasm hooked her. First attempts were rough. She misidentified every sparrow as a rare finch, tripped over roots chasing a flicker's red flash, and once logged a plastic bag as a heron. But Notebook kept her honest. Page by page, ink smudged with rain and stubbornness, patterns emerged. Crows mobbed construction sites dawn. Warblers vanished where pavement replaced blackberry thickets. Data grounded her panic, grief needed a ledger. Flyway's motley crew, a barista with binoculars, a grandma who cursed pigeons in Tagalog, became accidental therapists. They traded tips over stale pastries. That's not an eagle, Martha, it's a seagull holding a fish stick, and mapped migration shifts creeping northward. Some days, rage flared when developers bulldozed their survey spots. Martha channeled it into petitions, her once trembling hands now steady as she graphed habitat loss for city council meetings. Winter almost broke her. Weeks passed with no sightings but starlings and frost. Doubt whispered, "What's point?" Then, one brittle morning, her notebook caught a streak of cerulean, a Steller's jay, rare this far downtown. It pecked a seedling pushing through cracked concrete. Martha laughed, sudden and loud, startling a teenager glued to their phone. "Kid," she wanted to say, "Joy's a guerrilla act now." But she just noted coordinates, ink blooming like a tiny victory flag. By spring, her pages were dense with crossings out and underlines, a messy testament to paying attention. Climate dread hadn't vanished, but it had company, vibes of a stubborn sparrow, weight of a notebook-filled proof that noticing was its own kind of fight. Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday elbows deep in ivy, scribbling crow sightings into a battered field notebook while pigeons judged her from a fire escape. But here she was, Seattle drizzle misting her glasses, grinning like a kid who'd just cracked a secret code. 3 months ago, climate dread had pinned her to couch, doom-scrolling headlines until her knees ached. Now, she tracked urban hawks like a detective on a feathery case, her notebook a rebellion against despair. Pike Place Market's monthly bird count meetup had started as a fluke, a flyer tucked between kale and artisan honey. Skeptical, she'd shown up expecting granola vibes and jargon. Instead, she found a squad of misfits armed with binoculars and dark humor. If crows can thrive in a parking garage, so can we. Martha's first entries were shaky, pigeon, probably. Loud. But week by week, her pencil grew bolder. She learned to ID a Cooper's hawk by its manic lunchtime dive bombs, spotted a barred owl napping in a downtown fur like some Zen CEO of Bird World. Then came her breakthrough. On a hunch, she'd started logging not just species but behaviors, how birds adapted to construction noise, which alleys they avoided after street cleaners rolled through. Her notebook became a mosaic of resilience. One rainy dawn, crouched behind a dumpster, age be damned, she captured a shot of a junco building a nest from shredded plastic bags. Photo hit Collective's social feed. By noon, it blazed across local news, urban birds fight back, and so can you. Next month's meetup, a silver-haired skeptic from Martha's condo building elbowed in, muttering about birdwatcher nonsense. Creator just slid her notebook across table, open to a page inked with triumph, Day Peregrine Falcon hunting rats by bus terminal. Even apex predators eat fast food. Woman squinted, snorted, then gasped as creator flipped to a graph showing nest successes spiking in rehabbed lots. Around them, crowd erupted. Someone thrust a fresh pencil into Martha's hand like a baton. Laughing, she scrawled today's entry, "I'm writing my own story." Not just tallying losses, but proof that life claws back, one scrappy feather at a time. Later, hiking her sensible shoes onto a park bench to adjust a makeshift nest cam, take that, creaky hips, she spotted a fledgling crow eyeing her with what she swore was respect. Martha winked. Game on. Martha, 58, never planned to spend her Tuesday morning squinting through binoculars, crows arguing over dumpster fries. Yet here she was, scribbling in her battered field notebook, now less a record of grief, more a map of rediscovery. That first scribble had been shaky, ink smudged with rain, and maybe tears. Today's pages pulsed with life, ruby-crowned kinglet, Pike Place Market, heckling a barista. Seattle's urban birdwatching collective started as three strangers clutching lukewarm coffee, bonding over sparrow migrations. Now Martha guided silver-haired newbies past parking lot sparrows, their laughter drowning out eco-doom headlines. "Watch that junco's sass," she'd whisper, pointing to a bird bossing pigeons twice its size. Notebooks flipped open like wings. Odd habits stuck. Martha kept stale bagels in her purse for crow bribes, swore a bald eagle once winked her. But real magic? How tracking nest-building rhythms in city parks rewired despair into action. When wildfires choked sky, group-logged air quality impacts on chickadee songs, data scientists begged to use. Her notebook's final page held no elegy, just a pressed dandelion and a tally, 127 species, 43 neighbors, one stubborn joy. Grab your sneakers, plot hope in sidewalk cracks.